All right, it is 6:30 on Monday, August 4th, 2025. We will go ahead and open the regular meeting of the McGregor City Council. Please stand with me and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do we have any public comments? We barely have any public. All right, our consent agenda. Consider approving minutes of council meeting held on July 14th, 2025. They were included in our packets. We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item number 2, discussion regarding proposed budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, Mayor, Council, thank you for y'all's time. I'm going to go straight into it. So the budget for fiscal year 2026, we made some assumptions to get us there. They're a lot of the same as last year, the assumptions that we made. The first line says we use a 25% increase in healthcare insurance. This is just, what we've heard meeting with our with the healthcare people. It's not set in stone. It could change, it could not, but that's what we have for the budget right now because that's what's most current. We have a 5% COLA budgeted across the board. Our TMRS contribution rate has been increased or will be increased in January from 12.96 to 13.12%. We're in the 4th year of our tornado siren program. We've allocated the city manager, assistant city manager, city secretary, fleet mechanic, events manager, and the finance department between funds, just based on the day-to-day. So there's a lot of stuff we do for the general fund. There's also a lot of stuff that we do for the utility fund just as we go through. So we thought allocating that would make the most sense. So we added a market increase of 5% for patrol officers on top of the 5% COLA, I believe. We increased water and wastewater fees 8%. The city of Waco, this increased last year. It increased again this year. I think it's primarily because of the number of animals we're bringing in compared to the number of animals other cities are bringing in. Our share is increasing. So our cost for the year, fiscal year 25 was $105,000. Fiscal year 26 is $180,000 annually. Capital outlay in the general fund includes the fire department's SCBA, the breathing apparatus for $27,000, and 2 equipped police cars, budgeted at $143.5 thousand. Okay. This next slide just shows big picture what's going on in the fund. We have revenues up top, and we have just through this our expenses, departmental expenditures. Right below it we have direct expenditures, just debt service, and then below that we have transfers in, transfers out, those balance. So then we get to the bottom where we have our net income or net loss, net revenue. All of those are balanced that should be balanced. Again, same as last year, the court funds are generating revenue over their expenditures. The industrial park is using some of its fund balance from last year, and the debt service too is using some of the fund balance from last year. But you'll see for those, the estimated working capital at the end of the year, based on the calculations here, is still positive. So moving forward, okay. So this is across all funds. We just get to see where the money's coming in. We see charges for services. A lot of that's utility, water, wastewater, garbage fees. We see property taxes and sales taxes, some of the larger ones as well for the general fund. Just a lot of smaller portions in there, sort of similar to last year. We have, interest, recreation fees. Another one that's sort of large is land leases, rental property. That's going to be fairly well the same as last year based on just annual payments. And just a few other smaller things: franchise taxes, permits and fees, fines, forfeitures. Okay. So going to the next slide, we have our expenditures. This is where the money goes. We have 34% personnel services, 26% contracted services, 7% capital outlay. Those debt payments, 17%, or transfers and debt payments are 17%. Just pretty fairly similar, fairly as expected sizes for these expenditure categories. Okay. Our next slide, and this is the main reason why we need to have this meeting, is just to go over tax rates for what we are going to budget for. So there's three rates that the tax office gives us. The first one, the one that we historically use, is the voter approved rate. It's a 3.5% increase. So if we see, whenever we use the voter approved rate across our taxable value of $875 million, our current rate as of fiscal year 25 is 0.530016. Our voter approved tax rate, with how the numbers and the calculations worked out, is very similar. It's 0.531392. And so just across that with all the calculations, our change from the current rate is $12,000. Taxes on a $100,000 home, just across M&O and INS, where it's up $1.38. And you can see just the comparison of the rates down below: the no new revenue, the voter approval, which we've just talked about up here, and the de minimis rate. This next slide is going to go over that no new revenue rate. So there's our current rate of 0.530016, our no new revenue rate of 0.530892, a little bit below the voter approved rate. So we see an annual increase on a $100,000 home of 88 cents. And then this next slide is going to be that de minimis rate. And the de minimis rate is 0.581414. It's going to increase it a bit to $48.71. And a little disclaimer about this de minimis rate is for the voter approved rate, like we talked about, is 3.5%. This de minimis rate it functions under the assumption that if we need to raise $500,000 more in ad valorem taxes, what's our rate going to be? So that's why it's so much higher. And again, with all these three rates in mind, historically, the one we do is the voter-approved rate. Okay. So here's a little bit of information, just direct and overlapping property tax rates. We can see our total direct in that fourth column there through the years. And then in 5, 6, 7, and 8, we see it across McGregor ISD, Midway ISD, McLennan County, McLennan Community College, just comparatively. Okay, and this one shows our historical estimated and actual value of taxable property. And I think for fiscal year 24, we have that 713 million figure down there for total taxable assessed value. If we go back over here and look at our taxable value that we've gotten to plan for tax year 2025 is 875 million. So it's quite an increase there from that 713, 981. Okay. So these are just a couple slides that you'll see in the big budget packet. This is debt service. It just shows all of the issues that are there and the current the payments we're looking toward in the short term. Okay. This is just overall debt service. I believe how it worked out this year is most all of our debt service, our debt issues are covered by the debt service fund. So these numbers across these two are going to be very similar. And then we can see down at the bottom kind of what I was talking about, the excess deficiency of revenues. We have a deficiency of revenues this year. This is just based on what the tax office gave us. In the current year, we've it appears that based on the collection processes that they're going through, it appears we've collected more in this year. So then we're going to get a fund balance in debt service, and that fund balance is going to be used in this FY26 budget year to repay that. So more or less not an issue at all. It's just going to wash. It's just a timing difference. Okay. So going into the general fund, here's our general fund revenue by source. As expected, property taxes, sales taxes are going to be the larger ones, franchise taxes. There's a lot of our land leases are found in the general fund. Pretty expected based on the pie chart that we saw for revenue across all funds. Just, again, just smaller ones like interest, donations, recreation fees, service, administrative fees, fines and forfeitures. But then that's the money going in. And again, I think this next slide is going to be the money going out for the general fund. This is by department. Again, no surprise, sort of the same as last year. Our police, streets, and parks are the larger services, larger functions. It makes the most sense that most of our expenses are coming from those departments. But we can also see around the larger slices of the pie, or the smaller slices of the pie, finance, fleet maintenance, code compliance, court, community development. Those are there in your packet for your viewing as well, if you'd like. Okay, so now we're going into the utility fund. So again, balanced budget. We've got water, sewer, solid waste revenues. a lot of those charges for services that we saw in the pie chart. And then we have our expenditures broken down by department. Administration 2.3, water production 2.8, utility maintenance 800,000, almost 900,000, I guess, and wastewater is 700,000. For a combined 6.7, again, same as the revenues that we're expecting to bring in. Okay, this just shows it in pie chart format. Well, it's not broken down by department, it's broken down by category on the pie chart. We got contracted services at 45%, personnel services at 24%. Supplies, materials at 4%, capital outlay at 12%, and just a few smaller portions of the pie, maintenance, other expenses, to just make up the rest of it. Okay, so then moving on to the airport. So airport revenues, similar as last year, we have our normal revenues. That 100,000 in revenues is grant revenues. Now it's expected that the ramp grant for this fiscal year is going to be another 90-10. We're paying attention to that and making sure that it is, but that's why we have 100,000, is that's the max revenue we can receive from the grant this year. So we're just expecting for next year, budgeting for next year similarly. So we have 100,000 in grant revenues, and so down in expenditures, that capital outlay portion, that's the expenditures that should be covered by the grant. We have 111,111 because it's a 90-10 grant. If we spend that much, we get 100,000 in revenue. But again, just broken down, personnel makes up a lot. The contingency in the airport is at 110,000. Supplies, maintenance, utilities, miscellaneous expenses, or other smaller portions that make up the budget. We have a transfer out of 11,000. That's our administrative fee. The general fund, transfer out to the general fund. Okay. This is the cemetery budget. It's a lot the same as last year. We have, we're just forecasting trust and interest income, remaining sort of the same on lot sales and maintenance fees. And so our expenses, to balance the budget, have to match that. Our contingency went up a little bit from last year just to make sure that we're balancing the budget for the cemetery fund. Okay? And then here is our recap of all debt. There's just a general debt service. For every year down until 2043, there's our principal and interest that we are obligated to pay, that we show as a liability on our balance sheet. The component unit is the TERS debt. And then we have a total of all of our debt there. And I believe that was the last slide in that presentation. Do y'all have, I know I kind of went through that pretty quick. Do y'all have any questions in there?
Yeah, Lee, your actual year-to-date figures, those are up until what point in time?
Which figures? I apologize.
Your actual year-to-date figures?
Year-to-date is March. I should have specified. The year-to-date figures in the budget are March. That's more about when these portions of the budget was generated, but we also do that so that we can see for half of the fiscal year and show, just about where we are. It helps us get a better, top-down view of where we're at and where we're going.
Okay.
Be sure to tell you that Carolyn's done a great job of setting us up for this, and then she left before we got our final, well, I guess we had our final numbers, but we hadn't really had a chance to go through them. Lee stayed all day Saturday. You were here late Friday too, weren't you?
A little bit. I left at 6.
And got this stuff prepared. We went through the numbers pretty quickly. The final numbers from the tax office came out pretty strong. We're still missing a little, but we needed to kind of ensure the coverage of the insurance. That's why you saw the 25% number. Quite frankly, to do that, every year for the next, we made one payment, so we got 9 more for the Waco Industrial Foundation's financing of the gas line that went out to Knopf. And that's about $300 a year. It's an interest-free loan straight through. They really came through for us when we need it, and we want to make sure we pay that back. But this year, the general fund was under quite a stress, and so we shifted that over to the balance of the McGregor Industrial Park Capital Fund. We've still got money there. We anticipate getting more money in there through sales of land here pretty quick, but can't really share that completely yet. But we've got a lot going on out there. So for this year, that was shifted over there, and it actually gives you a contingency of a couple $100,000 that you can go back and look at some of these capital issues again that you looked at a couple of weeks ago. So I feel real comfortable with where this is right now. I'll feel a lot more comfortable when we get our insurance quotes in. We may change, we may not, we don't know, but we know that that 25% number was a quote, correct? Correct. So we're covered, and we have a little flexibility in what we do next year. And the tax rate's what you really got to start on tonight, and the 3.5% is certainly where I would recommend. The interesting, I just noticed that we call the de minimis rate, this is all state law. The de minimis rate is the highest rate by far, and I thought the word de minimis meant something different, as in the minimum. The voter approved rate is not voter approved, but it has to be voter approved if you go over 3.5%, which, by the way, if the de minimis rate is selected, you have to get it voter approved because it goes over 3.5%. And then the other one, the no new revenue, is basically just the same tax rate as you had. That doesn't count new properties, of course. Any new properties, you do get the tax on that, so it gives you kind of a primer on the tax rates. And other than that, Lee, you did a great job. You did a good job of running through the slides, and you had a good presentation. I know the template was sort of there, but I also know that you put some different stuff into it. Glad to have you doing it.
Yes, I really appreciate that. I'm glad I can help.
All right, does council have any questions for Lee?
And you'll be seeing this again on the 21st and the 22nd?
The
Yes.
Both,
yes.
Okay. You get 2 more kisses at this pig. And if you go through all this, is a lot to digest. If you have any questions about anything, start with Lee, and then if we have to drag one of these other folks in by their collar to answer questions, we certainly will. But this is your document now. You got a couple of weeks to look it over, and if you're uncomfortable with it, please let us know.
Yes. And I'll be happy to look up. If I don't know it now, I'll be happy to look up later. Any questions that y'all have, please let me know.
Yeah, just looking at the PowerPoint on donations for combined revenue, what kind of donations are those?
Donations on combined revenues, the 81,216. Now I know that 216 is a fairly small amount that I think is in the general fund. I think the 81,000 we can find elsewhere.
that when SpaceX donates? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I think
That-
James must
that
be
may
planning on
be.
donating one of his Winchesters for auction.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, I mean, it's weird to me, like, a city to get donation, that's why I was.
He'll have to look that one up.
Okay.
That seemed high to me as well.
Okay, yeah, if we can get that, and then contracted services, could you maybe tell me like the top 5 that we have contracted services for that amount?
Yes, contracted services.
Where is that?
It's on 5.
My thoughts on contract service, probably city attorney, engineering as well. I don't know how much it is.
Okay,
but that would
Yeah.
be- That's the number 2. If those are counted there, that's certainly a contracted service.
Yes.
We have some grounds maintenance that we contract out, so parks don't have to worry about it. Just in places that's not all that expensive.
now, are they listed in the booklet that we got?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. It's not terribly intuitive how the numbers in the booklet go into the pie chart. So if you do have questions about that, I'd be happy to help about that. But yes, all the numbers in the pie chart come straight from the booklet.
Okay, and then the budget is based on the voter approval rate?
Yes, so far the budget is based on that. And I think the reason we need this meeting is an approval of a proposed rate, correct?
Yeah.
I think so, yes.
It starts the rate process.
Yes.
In the next item, I think, yes.
All right. Well, if we don't have any further questions for Lee on this one, let's go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3, which is discussion and possible action regarding approval of a proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 tax rate to report to the McLennan County Property Tax Department for publication and notification of public hearings if required.
Budget you have in your hand is based on the voter approval rate of, what's the number?
Oh,
But you're gonna have to read that. You've already got it in your hand to do that.
yeah. Yeah, 0.531392. As opposed to this year, it was 0.530016.
Say again? Well, we need a motion.
Motion that we approve the property tax rate of 0.531392.
Okay, we have a motion, and we have a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That motion carries. All right. I am now to announce a public hearing on tax rate and public hearing on proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget on August 21st, 2025, and final adoption of the budget and tax on August 22nd, 2025. Agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding approval of Lee Klump, Director of Finance, to be added as a signatory to all financial accounts held by the city of McGregor.
Please do.
Well, that just makes sense since our former finance director is now retired and gone. Sorry.
Interesting fact, we couldn't find that we've ever had to do this before. But they want it, so that's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
I make a motion that we approve the director of finance.
We have a motion and a second to have our finance director, Lee Klump, added to all financial accounts held by the city of McGregor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That motion carries. Announcements from the city manager.
State of McGregor is Thursday. We've got some pretty good PowerPoints to present to you and a couple other things that you probably haven't seen yet that you're going to want to see, so I hope you all make it. The Waco Chambers Mid-Year Luncheon is Wednesday, and we've got a table sponsorship. We got y'all are all signed up, ready to go. I think that's great. And then you've seen the State of the State. That's like the first week in September, and the State of the City County, which is like the next week. So try to keep all those separate in your mind and get. I'm going to send out calendar invites to the last two, probably before the end of the week. Try to remember which one is which one you're doing. They got to where they were doing one of these a month, and now they're trying to get them done before. I think one year they got it where they had one after Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But anyway, that's all coming up. Residential, Adeline Crossing's moving fast. Got engineering coming, we were told, on McGregor Trails. Is that what that one is down on Johnson Drive? The 9 Point out here, which used to be the park, they're working through their stuff. What else? I think that's the majors. Starting to get movement on Blue Bonnet Meadows Village, I'm sorry, which is George Eggett's at the old school site down here. And I can't tell you, nor can you tell it, but the old water plant is now officially under contract. We've already got it, but they now have it under contract to another entity. So we'll see how that goes. That's good news because it'll be a sales tax generator. That's all I have, I think.
All right, do we have any requests or comments from council? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 7:03.
If you have any questions on this budget, please ask. Spend whatever time necessary to go through it.
Yes, good luck with that. We're Kevin out.